speed and the adrenaline, the racing, overtaking, the last lap passes, all those kind of moments. It's the best feeling.
Lewis Francis and James Anagnostiadis might only be in primary school, but racing is in their blood.
James and Lewis, they're almost veterans at being at the Formula One, so I think the biggest part for them is being around their heroes, around the cars, the noises, the smell.
I want to be a Formula One driver. I'm trying my best in go-karting and then hopefully go to cars later in my career.
The two friends were meant to attend last year's Grand Prix as grid kids. James was even going to drive a lap around the track.
To our race fans, we're terribly disappointed that the event can't go ahead.
The cancellation of the 2020 Australian Grand Prix was a significant flashpoint. It became one of the first international sporting events to fall victim to the pandemic.
The major event calendar here in Victoria is really such a critical part of essentially the personality and the DNA of Melbourne. A lot of the suppliers to the events sector, these businesses have been shut down since March of last year.
Almost a year on, the tourism industry is banking on big sporting events making a return to the state.
Our desire is to have massive crowds in November. I really do want to achieve that, and I want to welcome Daniel Ricciardo in a McLaren car and hopefully see a World Championship decided here in Albert Park.
Things will look quite different in November to how they look in January. We've got, the vaccine rollouts started in Europe and America. It'll be starting in Australia in February.
We have to get back to some type of COVID normal operation. We can't keep the roller doors down and just keep everything shut.
Major sporting events are a huge boost for thousands of small businesses like Chris Terliker's. He runs a restaurant in Melbourne's north and was scheduled to cater last year's race.
We got in at about 7 o'clock that morning, I think it was, and as far as we knew, the race was going ahead. And then I think by 11 o'clock it was shut down. We bought about 1.5 tonne of meat in total. I was thinking, what am I going to do with all this meat?
Chris Terliker estimates his total losses were around $30,000. Of that, $13,000 was spent on a site fee. He still hasn't received a refund, despite the event not going ahead.
Yeah, pretty annoyed about it. It would be nice to just know what's going on. Just some kind of communication would be great.
That does take me by surprise because we work very, very closely with our primary catering suppliers, but I'm quite prepared to investigate that.
There's still no guarantee the Grand Prix will go ahead in November, but Chris Terliker says it's still worth the gamble.
I'd be interested in doing it again if we did it on a smaller scale. We'd probably only bring, say, our food truck or our shipping container, which has a kitchen set up in it. We've lost a full 12 months of revenue off-site, so we need to make that money back from what we lost last year.
While the Grand Prix has 10 months before crowds arrive at the gates, the Australian Open is due to start in a matter of weeks. The Victorian Government has allowed for 15 chartered flights to bring 1,200 players, staff and officials into Melbourne to begin 2 weeks of hotel quarantine.
We've made a decision, which we did a number of months ago, that the Australian Open could be safely done, and we've done it in a way that the Chief Health Officer has signed off on. We have put in place the strongest, the strictest rules that apply for tennis across the world.
It's still not confirmed just how many spectators will be allowed to attend the Open, but organisers are aiming for 35% capacity, with fans spaced out in the stands. Meanwhile, players will be arriving in Melbourne from Thursday night and will have to complete 2 weeks of hotel quarantine. But uniquely, they'll be allowed to leave their rooms for training.
My concern with these athletes is that they have to travel to their practice. They're allowed to have 5 hours of practice per day. And this is not something that we allow your average person in the quarantine hotel. We've had some pretty vocal opponents to many standard public health measures in tennis. The fines that are in place right now, the $20,000 fine for not obeying the laws with respect to COVID safety, these are superstars in tennis. $20,000 really isn't, it's a rounding error for them.
Experience shows there are no guarantees any major events will go ahead this year. But yesterday's announcement has at least provided some hope.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. Both of those events are, they're just absolute hallmarks on our calendar.
It all depends on what's happening globally with this virus. Obviously, the Formula One teams are based in the United Kingdom and Italy, and those two countries are ravaged. So it all depends on that. Regardless, we hope it'll be here at some point. It's a wonderful event for the boys.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.